So hello and welcome back to the walkthrough series, and in this episode we're going to be looking at 9618 variant 41 of May-June 2023. So let's go ahead and look at the question here. Question 1, that is. We'll be doing the Python implementation for this one. A program reads data from a file and searches for specific data. Wait, I'm just reading here. We're supposed to be using a source file. One source file is used to answer question 1 and two source files. So question 1, it's data.txt, I believe, yes. So we'll be working with a source file. This is the source file that we'll be working with, this data.txt source file. Okay, I think I closed the question. All right. So the main program needs to read 25 integer data items from the text file data.txt into a local 1D array, data array. So let's go ahead and look at the program code for this implementation, that is unpacking data from a text file into a list as it were. So this is the main program right there, and you see that the data array, list or array as it were, it's local to the main method, because that's what they actually said right here in the question there. So it's a local variable right there, and it's going to hold 25 elements. So initially they're going to have values of 0. That's what's on line 3 there. Then so we are just supposed to declare the global 1D array, sorry, the local 1D array. So this is the code for it. So you'd copy this code and paste it inside of the evidence document. Moving on to item number 2, we are to amend the main program to read the contents of data.txt into data array. So let's go ahead and look at that. So we are using a try and except block because we might actually have a file not found runtime error. So that's why we have this try except block. Exception handling is going to be needed whenever you work with the file as it were. So we are opening the file in read mode right there on line 7, and then on line number 8 we are using a while loop that's going to run 25 times, because we did see that our data.txt file has 25 lines as it were. So that's why our loop is going to run 25 times. Then we are reading each line and storing it inside of this line variable. Then if the line is not empty, that's what we are simply saying on line number 10 there, then we are going to strip that line of any trailing white spaces, convert it into an integer, then put it inside of the data array as it were. Otherwise, if we no longer have anything to read, we will simply break out of the loop as it were. And then of course, in the event that we do not find the file, we simply print a file not found error, then return control to the operating system as it were. So of course you go ahead and copy this code and paste it inside of the evidence document. Then moving on to the next part here, we have B item 1, which requires us to write program code for a procedure that's going to called print array, and this procedure is going to take an integer array as a parameter and outputs the contents of the array in the order they are stored. The items are printed on the same line, for example 10, 4, 5, 13, 25. So we are to implement this print array procedure right there. So let's go ahead and look at that right here. So this is my print array procedure. So what I'm simply doing is I'm using the built-in map function in Python. So what it does is that it's going to take two arguments. So the first parameter is the string that it is going to form, and the other parameter is, or the second parameter is the array. So essentially what the map does is that you have an array or a list as it were, and you want to concatenate the elements inside of that particular array into one long list. So the way you can go about it is to make use of the map function right there. So we are also making use of the join function right there. So what join is simply going to do is going to take this blank space and join the elements that would have been formed by the map function as it were. So it's going to put a space in between the two numbers as it were. Then, of course, you can go ahead and copy the code and paste it inside of the evidence document. Then moving on to item number 3, we are to amend the main program to output the contents of data array using the procedure print array. So basically, we are just calling print array from within main. So we're actually doing that right there on line 19, right? Line 19 and 20. So line 19 is just there to tell the user that, or rather to notify the user that we are now printing the array contents, and then we print the array contents right there on line 20 by calling print array. So remember, print array takes an object of type array, and it prints the array onto the screen. Then we are to test our program and take a screenshot of the output. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let me just pull up the terminal, clear out the console. Then I should be in June 2023 v41 folder. So let me just cd here, then cd to June 23 v41. Then I can invoke the Python interpreter before typing my file name, question 1 underscore n23 underscore v41.py. So here are the array contents, so 10, 4, and so forth and so on. So remember earlier on what I said about making use of join. So it's going, that's the one that's putting the spaces in between the elements as it were. So of course you can go ahead and copy the code and paste it inside of the evidence document. C here says that the function linear search takes an integer array and integer search value as parameters. So it takes two parameters, an array and a search value. Then it's going to count and return the number of times the search value is found in the array. So we have to write program code for this function called linear search. This is actually one of the easiest algorithms that you can ever implement at this particular for this course as it were. So here we are just making use of we are passing the array and the search value. Then we are making use of the built-in count function that comes with Python. So we are just calling the count function and counting how many times we find the search value as it were. So that's the beauty of built-in functions when you are tackling questions like these ones. For 3 marks, really, you don't really need to implement it manually. You can just make use of the built-in function. But if they had specified that you shouldn't use a built-in function, then you shouldn't use a built-in function. But since they didn't specify here explicitly, you can go ahead and use it like what I did right there on lines 41, 42 rather. Then D item 1, we are to amend the main program to prompt the user to input a whole number between 0 and 100 inclusive, read and validate the input from the user. Then we are going to call linear search with the data array and the validated input value. Then we are going to output the result in the format. So this is the example format. The value 7 is found 2 times, is it? So let's go ahead and look at that implementation going on here. This is what D item 1. Let me see, where do I have? Yeah, right here. So here we have we are initializing the search value to -1. We are just giving it an initial value to start with. Then we are validating to see that search value is less than, well, search value is less than 0 or search value is greater than 100. It means that the user needs to input a value that is what? That is between 0 and 100 inclusive. So we are going to prompt the user to enter a value between 0 and 100. Then you convert it into an integer. Then we store that as the new search value as it were. Then we validate to check if the search value is in between the specified range right there. So if search value is less than 0 or search value is greater than 100, then that means that value is invalid. So we are simply going to tell the user that the input is invalid and they should try again. Then in the event that we fail to typecast the integer right here on line 26, that's where we are raising an exception right there on line 2930. So we prompt, or rather we notify the user that they should provide the correct value as it were. So notice that this loop is going to run for as long as the input is not correct. But if the input is correct, then we break out of the loop as it were. Then we are to test our program by inputting the number 12 and take a screenshot of the output. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let me pull up the terminal, clear out the console. What happened there? Oh, I actually have the full solution going on. So let me just run the script one more time. So enter a whole number between 0 and 100. So I'll enter 12. So the number 12 is found 4 times, is it? So you would go ahead and take a screenshot of this and paste it inside of the evidence document. So yeah, I think that's just about it for question 1. I'll see you in the solution for question 2.